anybody's even going to join because we're kind of late. It is 10:37 p.m., so it's a little bit later than I would like to live stream, but I don't know if I have a late night audience or not, so we'll see. Today we're going to go over real quick Biden's formation of a council regarding Supreme Court nominees and perhaps packing the court, and supposed moves around in and around Syria. If we have time after that, I might go into Colonel House because I'm going to be doing a special on Colonel House in the upcoming weeks. So we'll just go ahead and get right into it. Hey, I see I got one or two people in here. What's up, guys? So today we see Biden start staffing a commission on the Supreme Court reform. This was something that we knew was coming because he ran this as a candidate whenever they were talking about packing the court. He refused to actually say whether or not he was going to, but he did float the idea of this commission. And who's the commission made up of? Well, that's important. The commission will be housed under the purview of the White House's counsel's office, filled without the behind-the-scenes help of Biden campaign's lawyer Bob Bauer, who will co-chair the commission. Its specific mandate is still being decided, but in a signal that the commission is indeed moving ahead, some members have already been selected, according to multiple people familiar with the discussions. Yes, you made it, Vicky. Hey, how you doing? What's up, Salt? Thank you. Thank you. All right. So, who's going to be on the commission? Among those who will be on the commission are Christina Rodriguez, a professor at Yale Law School and a former Deputy Assistant Attorney General in the Obama Department of Justice, who will join Bauer as a co-chair. Caroline Frederickson, the former president of the American Constitution Society, and Jack Goldsmith, a Harvard Law School professor and former Assistant Attorney General to the Bush Department of Justice, will also serve on the commission, those familiar with this discussion say. Frederickson has hinted that she is intellectually supportive of ideas like court expansion. In 2019, she said in an interview with Eric Lesh, the executive director of the LGBT Bar Association and founder of Greater New York, quote, "I often point out to people who aren't lawyers that the Supreme Court is not defined as a 9-person body in the Constitution, and it has changed size many times." Rodriguez's opinions on court reforms are less clear. Goldsmith's selection, meanwhile, is likely to be the one that frustrates progressives. As a senior fellow at the Hoover Institution, Goldsmith did not support Trump and is a friend of co-author of Bauer. But he was a vocal advocate of Brett Kavanaugh's appointment to the High Court, an appointment that sparked Democratic advocacy for expanding the number of Supreme Court seats. So they're trying to say that this Rodriguez guy is not going to be supporting expanding the court, but their only evidence of that is that he supported Brett Kavanaugh. That's not very good evidence that he's not going to be supporting expanding the court. I think we can all just go ahead and say that this commission that Biden has started is nothing more than the precursor to the beginning of packing the court. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. We'll see what this commission comes up with as far as their suggestions in the future. A large U.S. military convoy rolled into Syria on the first day of the Biden presidency. Two separate reports from the Middle East news sources at the end of this week strongly suggest that both Russia and the United States are building up their forces in war-torn Syria within the opening days of the Joe Biden administration. This is not a surprise. Well, hello, Mr. Rafferty. They will indeed pack the court. I agree. That a convoy consisted of 40 trucks loaded with weapons and logistical materials affiliated to the so-called international coalition have entered in Haska countryside. They're calling it an illegitimate border crossing in northern Iraq. I can tell you that these military movements in Syria, from what I've been able to find out, are pretty routine. And I guess the day that it happened on the day that Joe Biden was inaugurated is pretty crappy timing. But as far as this specific convoy operations, these convoys have been running, fairly regularly. So I'm not ready to get up in arms about this yet. But I will say that Biden is, for right now, continuing Trump's policy, but is looking to change it. This is the original Syrian report that showed the photographs of the convoy. Guys, this just isn't a major convoy right here. I'm just going to tell you that right now. I don't know if the MSM wants to blow this up and make it scarier than it is. Well, you know they want to do that, but I don't know what the reasoning that they're going to do that for. But there is a convoy that moved into Syria in what Syria would say is an illegal manner on the day that Biden was inaugurated. Now, this is the video footage of that movement. So we've got both the United States and Russia both moving light infantry and mechanized infantry into various spots in and around Syria. And the news is new. They're projecting it as if it's something new, but this has been going on. And I worry about why it's being presented at the time it's being presented. Salt, did you see my earlier video? I dropped it it was only a couple of minutes long. It was the White House without power, and then this strange, I would say, I don't know what to call it, like a permanent scaffolding or some sort of tower or observation tower or something that they're building in front of the White House. Pretty strange. Pretty strange. Vicky, if you're talking about why are they showing this to us now, I just don't know. When you ask me that question, I have 100 different answers, and I don't know which one of them is right. But all we know right now is that we have fairly regular military movements going on in Syria that are being portrayed in both the alternative and the corporate media as if there's something horrible and terrifying. So for whatever reason they're doing it, they are doing that. And most of these troop movements are Russian. They're not invading Syria. They've been there. But what he's doing is he is going to... Hold on. What the news media is portraying, or what the alternative media is portraying, is that Biden is on his way back to entering in the Iran nuclear deal, and that will involve supporting what have been called by 100 different names: Daesh, ISIS, ISIL. All of the rebel groups that are fighting against Bashar al-Assad, and Trump stopped the supporting of those groups, and that's why ISIS disappeared. It wasn't because Trump wiped them off the face of the earth. It's because he cut off their funding that was coming from the United States. So we're worried about that we're worried that that's going to come back up again as Biden probably moves back into negotiations with Iran over the nuclear deal. Okay, I can only look at that for so long. So there's troop movements going on in Syria. Now, somewhere I want to take you guys next is the Duran. This is ran by a guy named Alex and a guy named Alexander. And if you talk to the corporate media, they'll tell you this is Russian disinformation and they're not people to be trusted. But they absolutely give excellent analyzing of the things that are going on in Syria and we'll call it Southwest Asia.
Own food and oil resources, and Syria as a country is now under relentless sanctions pressure. The intention seems to be, if you can't force military change in Syria, you strangle the country economically and try to achieve it that way. An appalling idea. And of course, here we see the Pentagon sending more troops there. Just a short time ago, Donald Trump was trying to pull troops out of Syria. The moment he's gone, we see the troops being sent back to Syria. We know that the Pentagon and US officials lied to Donald Trump about the number of US troops in Syria. Now that number is increasing. This is an obsessional policy that...
Hello, friend. How are you?
Do no good. And of course, the United States has now got an official, Mr. McGurk, who is in charge of Syrian policy. He is a passionate regime changer. He is a passionate supporter of supporting the Kurds. He is somebody who is very critical of Turkey and of the Turkish government. And the Turks have picked up on this, and they're becoming increasingly unhappy about the US stepping up support for the Turks.
So we've got a Biden guy put in that supports regime change and is a huge backer of the Kurds. Turkey's taken notice of this, and so is Russia. So everybody's doing troop movements in that area that hasn't really been much of a problem for a little while, but of course is getting ready to pick right back up. And this is the reason why, because they're already in talks over the Iran nuclear deal. So there's going to be a lot of jostling for positioning that we're not going to really understand on the global political theater because there's a lot of deals being made in the background. Now, the earlier article I referenced from Zero Hedge said, well, why wouldn't Iran be scared about the people that Biden is nominating to these power positions? And one of the reasons why was because Biden's nominated Samantha Power to head U.S. aid or USAID, which is a whole nother separate dig all on its own, but is pretty much the quasi-civilian governmental agency that is in the background fomenting pretty much every revolution, civil war, or overthrow of the government that we've ever sponsored through the CIA. Now, he's nominated Samantha Power to head that organization, and of course, if we remember Samantha Power, she is the unmasker-in-chief. She was the one person in the Obama administration that more than anybody did those illegal 702 about queries on downstream data on people in the Trump orbit, and were later found out and never got in trouble. But that seems to be like, constant. So she did illegal 702 about queries using the NSA database, and now she's going to be the head of US Aid. The murderous history of USAID, the U.S. government agency behind Cuba's fake Twitter clone. And that's just a half of it. It's behind everything. And now Samantha Powers is heading it. And so while I don't put a lot of stock into these random videos of troop movements and light mechanized infantry moving around that I have no idea where it came from. It could be B-roll from 1992 for all I know. But I'm hearing that there's troop movements going on in Syria, so we have to give it attention. And then when we look at all these other various situations, particularly the people who have been put in charge of these positions, it becomes a little bit worrying. I'll include the links to all this information in the description below when we get done with the live stream, guy. Yeah, she's back in the saddle again. Yes, she is. And just as a reminder, because the guy on the Durant, he said Trump tried to pull out of Syria and they lied to him about the how many troops were there. He did. He declared victory over ISIS and he said he wanted everybody out of Syria. But they slow walked him and they didn't let it happen. President Trump's troop withdrawal from Syria, an Obama-like mistake, said Senator Lindsey Graham, who had no problem turning on Trump as soon as it came to something like war. And this is also, remember, withdrawing these troops out of Syria was what caused General Mad Dog Mattis to resign as well. So they really didn't want those troops out. Now they're back in. And we have Samantha Power, who's running USAID. So that's just great, guys. It's just great. And then at this point, I wanted to take the time to remind you guys that during the 2016 election cycle, Hillary Clinton floated the idea, because at this time in 2016, if you'll remember, the Russians were just getting there. They were starting to establish themselves. They were putting in anti-missile batteries all over the place, and they were trying to do Russia's version of bring peace to that area. And Hillary Clinton said, you know what we need to do? We need to put a no-fly zone over Syria, and we need to enforce it, even against the Russians. Now, for people like me and other guys like me, we knew what that meant. That meant instantaneous war with Russia. You can't do that. And yet, at the time, it kind of just went under the radar. Not many people spoke on it. But now Biden's president, and you're looking at the same type of troop movements, the same type of policy decisions. It's just going to be Obama, Clinton, Biden, 1, 2, and 3.0. And it's getting started all over again. I wanted to talk about this because there's been a lot of blood and treasure that's been put into pushing back the Iranian nuclear threat. And one of those things was that, well, not officially, but the United States and Israel created for the first time in the history of the world what they call a kinetic cyber weapon. This happened back in 2010 and has been going on like as recently as June 26, 2020, where they had developed a worm, a digital worm that was called Stuxnet. And basically the big thing about Stuxnet that was very earth-shattering, it changed the game up as far as cyber warfare, asymmetrical warfare, was they were able to take a worm that's just ones and zeros, and they took and those types of worms, they've been able to steal other digital information many times. That's basically, you know, what it's used for. But with Stuxnet, what they did for the first time was they took those digital ones and zeros and they actually made them affect the real world. So the nuclear, what do you call the things that that they use to process the nuclear material? It's escaping me right now. But they used Stuxnet to actually speed up those machines to the point where they broke, and it set back the Iran nuclear program, set it back years and years and years. These attacks have been used over and over again on Iran since then. So we have a lot of blood and treasure that is invested in keeping Iran from getting these nuclear bombs. It's all about to go down the drain as we work to get back into the Iran nuclear deal and give them basically a timetable for when they're allowed to have nuclear weapons. Daryl Clark, I can see your comment. This is a response. We went from commander-in-chief to liar and thief. Well, you know, I'm not sure how much of a change we've made. I'm not sure how much of a change we've made. But I did want to show, I was going to go into Stuxnet and get really deep into it. I don't think we're going to do that today. The next thing that I do want to cover, not today, but I'm going to do it tomorrow in a live stream, is what's called the cycle threshold values for the PCR test. And you guys, this live stream tomorrow, it's going to be huge, because what I'm going to show you is we've already gone through Kerry Mullis, and we've already gone through what his opinions are on his own process that he invented being used to determine whether someone is actually ill. Tomorrow, what I'm going to go through with you guys is we're going to talk about how the PCR test was misused. You can call it intentional, you can call it by accident, you can just call it bad science, but it was misused in a way where it only gave a binary result, yes or no. When in reality, if you take in the threshold, you can actually find out more than just yes or no. You can find out how many of those people had a viral load inside their body that actually made them contagious, how many people didn't have a viral load inside of their body enough to make them contagious, and how many people did. And you're able to plot this. They've always been able to do this because of cycle threshold values, and yet that 3-word phrase, I guarantee you 99% of the population has never heard about it, and tomorrow when we go over it, you're going to find out why, because it blows the lid off of this whole situation, as if the lid hasn't already been blown off the whole situation. So we'll go over that tomorrow. See if I got anything else here. No. Let me see if I can go to my videos. I'm going to go to my videos, and I'm just going to show you outside the White House. Or maybe not. Do you guys,
it's Tuesday and time for the flag salute.
Do you guys skip through mine like I skip through yours? No, this is just the person who... Okay, so this is just the person who screwed up the national anthem. Well, crap, I haven't uploaded that yet. Alright, so as soon as I get out of this live stream, I'm going to upload a video. And the video that I upload is going to show a live stream from the White House while I was watching it earlier today. And it's also going to show some video footage that somebody else had acquired earlier in the day. And what it shows is there's a bunch of Capitol Police up on top of the White House, and I mean a bunch. And then there's this structure that they're building in front of the White House. And I can't tell you for the life of me what the structure is. Hopefully somebody that watches my channel will be able to know. But I will upload that as soon as I get off of this live stream here. So that was all I wanted to let you guys I wanted to talk about today, let you guys know. Yeah, it does look like things are moving back towards the war dreams beating in Southwest Asia, Syria, Iran, but we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. At this point, I know that there's a certain percentage of my viewers that aren't even believing that Donald Trump isn't going to be the president, and you're welcome to that belief, but we're going to have to go slow to get to where we want to get to as far as looking for the truth is. Yeah, well, James, I haven't really been on long today, and so hopefully next time you catch me, I'll be on for a longer amount of time. Is this time good for you guys, 10 o'clock, or like should I do earlier streams like at like 7 or 8, or is it okay for me to come on by 10 p.m.? Does it matter if it's during the week or on the weekend? What do you guys think? Wow, you guys are really blowing me up with responses. All right. Well, that's all I'm going to report to you guys for today in this short live stream. I love you guys. I will talk to you soon. Give me about 15 minutes and I'm going to upload that video of the live view of the White House earlier today. You're going to find it pretty interesting, all right? I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in. Like, share, sub the channel. You know, thank you guys for all the support that you guys give me. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.